Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here by myself. Once again, Tom is on assignment doing some hockey stuff, and we wanted to get a breaking news mini episode to you. This breaking news being that redshirt sophomore offensive lineman George Fitzpatrick is planning to enter the transfer portal. This is something that was first reported by Chris Hummer of 24/7 Sports. Fitzpatrick is as I said, a redshirt sophomore who has played in every game this season, but has only seen offense in 9 games. So he's been a reserve for the Buckeyes, spent most of the season as the backup right tackle. And then true freshman Ian Moore maybe kind of took that spot. And we saw George Fitzpatrick in the last couple of games, the last couple of playoff games, because the games have been such blowouts. We've seen George Fitzpatrick in the game at guard at the end. So that is not a surprise that he is entering the portal, but also the fact that he kind of had a true freshman supplant him at that right tackle spot is usually one of the signs that Tom and I always talk about when it comes to transfers and the writing on the wall. Once you get passed by a younger player, it's, you're going to start looking around. And so this is, as I said, not unexpected. Third year for George Fitzpatrick in the system. Had played prior to this season in just 4 games, a total of, I believe, about 15 snaps. He played 1 game as a true freshman, 3 games as a redshirt freshman, and then was involved, because Ohio State had so many blowouts this year, he was involved in the offense and was also a special teamer and was a key piece of that. So has gotten some playing time, but probably wanting to get more than he's gotten to this point, especially when you consider the fact that Ohio State has brought in, they're adding 2 offensive tackles out of the transfer portal, and Phillip Daniels, a redshirt freshman this year for Minnesota, who started the final 4 games of the year for the Gophers, the final 4 games of the regular season for the Gophers. And then Rice's Ethan Onianwa, a multi-year starter at left, 2 years starter at right tackle, and then this past season, starter at left tackle. Really, really impressive. Draft people really like him. So those 2 guys are probably your betting favorites to start for the Buckeyes, but don't bet on those things, please. And, when you see, if you're George Fitzpatrick and you see Justin Fry, the offensive line coach in Ohio State, and Ryan Day going out and looking for a pair of tackles, then that kind of tells you what the plans are, even though they will also be communicating with George Fitzpatrick their plans. So he's originally from Colorado. He may head back out west. We've seen it's just never worked out with Ohio State and signing offensive linemen from Colorado. They've tried it before, and it just hasn't worked out. I believe Joey O'Connor was one back in the about a decade or so ago, maybe the 2014 class or so. He lasted about a year at Ohio State before he went back home. Fitzpatrick was a 4-star recruit, like a top 20 tackle, top 200, top 300 player in the nation. So he was a guy that, had some potential, still has some potential. It takes a little while to develop on the offensive line. Being a reserve in your 3rd year is nothing to be ashamed of, for sure. But as we see with all of these Ohio State guys, they want to go play and they want to have an opportunity to do what their teammates are doing, and that's getting on the field and getting all kinds of snaps. And then also probably making some money while you're doing it. And he will now hit the portal, reportedly, and then, find a new home for himself, which leaves the Buckeyes in a position where they need to figure out how to replace his spot. Not that he was a starter or anything like that, but Ohio State had 16 offensive linemen, scholarship offensive linemen, in the 2024 season. As it is shaking out right now, they will have 14. So they want more. They, there's still more to do in the portal if they want. I think they feel pretty good about the starting situation in terms of the options and the possibilities. But the numbers they may not feel great about just yet. And so maybe after the spring, we could see them do something else. Remember, that's when they got Josh Simmons. They got him after spring ball. And, the portal has basically closed in terms of people who can enter it other than the teams that are still playing right now. So once those teams are eliminated, I believe the portal opens for about 5 days if anybody wants to jump out. And then that adds to the talent pool. But then also in the spring, it opens again after spring ball. And based on how crazy the fall portion of it was, the winter portion of the portal was, just go ahead and assume things are going to get wild again in the spring. So that's also when Ohio State will have a much better idea of what their offensive line looks like, how good they feel about it, and where are the voids that they need to fill in. And right now, if you look at it, they've got, I believe, I'm looking at the list right here, about 9 guys coming back, and then they're adding 5 guys. So they're adding the 2 transfers that I talked about, Phillip Daniels, Ethan Onianwa, and then 3 true freshmen in Carter Lowe, Javon McFadden, and Jake Cook. Lowe and Cook are Ohioans. Javon McFadden is from Maryland. And just recently watching some of his Huddle highlights, he's a really, really good athlete. Anytime you can add the top offensive lineman from the state of Maryland, it's probably a good idea to do it. And then, the guys that are coming back as of right now, I don't know if you can say everybody's certainly coming back, but Luke Montgomery has kind of blossomed towards the end of the season. He's impressed some people being that third guard rotating in during the playoffs. We've seen that. Joshua Padilla as a redshirt freshman. He's the backup center right now. That's a pretty good spot for a true for redshirt freshman to earn, even though, sure, Seth McLaughlin injuring his Achilles tendon, being lost for the season, moved everybody at that position up 1. But the staff is very, very high on him. We've seen Austin Sierreveld blossom as a redshirt freshman this year. He'll be in the mix somewhere at guard. And really, all 3 guards that are playing this year are going to be back next year, barring anything unforeseen, with Tegra Shabola, Austin Sierreveld, and Luke Montgomery. So something kind of has to shake out there. And I already mentioned Ian Moore as a true freshman moving up to the number 2 right tackle. Can he get involved somewhere? He's going to be in the 2 deep next year, probably competing for a starting job with Phillip Daniels at right tackle. And then Carson Hinsman could play guard, could play center, depending on how they feel about Joshua Padilla. So they've got some options in there. Gabe Van Sickle, redshirted this year as a true freshman. He's a very athletic, very strong guy that can move from Michigan. And so they've Deontay Armstrong, Devontae Armstrong, the twin brothers who are redshirting this year. They'll continue to grow. So they've got some interesting pieces. I think the thing that you have to feel pretty good about is that they did perhaps find their left tackle in the portal, and Ethan Onianwa, and they've got enough guards and centers to make the rest of it work. And they've got some guys that can compete at right tackle. Maybe some more depth would be key because, again, as we know, you can lose a left tackle at any moment. And so who is that next guy in? It won't be easy to go. You can't go get 2 starting left tackles and have 1 sit, but they might still want some depth, some maybe a young guy that can come in and be ready to play next year, or be not promised, but expect to be the left tackle next year, and backs up Ethan Onianwa if he can win the job this year. So they'll still figure that out. They've got time to do it, but they have to feel pretty good about the way things have started. So there you go. Just wanted to get this out to you guys. George Fitzpatrick headed to the transfer portal, what that means for Ohio State and what they'll do to kind of move on and find his replacement. So thank you all for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up before you go. So just go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. Hit the bell and you'll be notified when stuff like this happens. And of course, we are talking about the transfer portal, the college football playoffs, the Cotton Bowl, and all that good stuff over at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up. First month is $4.99. You can check us out there on the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.